All right, babies, we're on a schedule. Topics of the day. Uh, all of you say hello to Sanfura. Sanfura means Smurfette in English. She's Smurfette and her brother is Smurf. So, love versus addiction. Love versus addiction. I wrote that note, I think, a couple of weeks ago. The big reason for it, I think, is because I was excited for something, and in my head, I was like, I love it. Then I instantly stopped and I questioned myself. I was like, do you really love it, or is it something that you're used to? And then instantly the word addiction came to mind because, yes, I was talking about cigarettes. So 3 weeks ago, I stopped. I woke up one day and I was like, you know what, man? I really just like have not been enjoying smoking cigarettes. And in my old YouTube videos, you would see like I used to like smoke all the time when I am like I'd be smoking when I'm actually on the video. So the process of stopping wasn't hard at all. And like for me, I'm not a smoker. And I even when I smoked, I never called myself a smoker, or I never wanted to because I know the mentality behind it. And ultimately, like the reason I smoked every day is because for me in my head it tasted good and it felt good and it made me kind of like it fulfilled certain parts of me. A lot of people say it's the dopamine hit. A lot of people say it's the nicotine that kind of like allows you to feel satisfied because you're actually like lighting it. It's the whole like your mental approach to being in charge of a cigarette and like when you're done, you like throw it away and like fuck it. No, it comes with a certain attitude, a certain like charismatic approach, charismatic approach, one of them. So basically, uh, I don't know. I think I was eating. Maybe I was eating like something chicken, something greasy, and that's like normally it's like cigarette tastes best after them. But the reality is it doesn't because like when you smoke a cigarette, what happens is like the taste of the cigarette ruins the taste of chicken in your mouth or like the sauces that you were eating and all the good stuff. So addiction versus love. One, do you actually look at something and you see it from a love perspective? And one, do you look at it and see it from an addiction perspective? And I could reflect what I used to do every day in terms of smoking to my note taking. Like my note taking, sometimes I do it religiously, like every single day. I'm like completely focused on it. And sometimes I'm kind of like doing it in a very informal manner. Like anytime I have an idea, I write it down. For when it comes to taking notes for a video on YouTube or when it comes to taking notes for a philosophy of mine, like videos on YouTube are more like systematic. They're like more of an addiction. And if I don't like do them, I don't know. I think like the whole concept of experiencing love is being able to dive into the habit of, or the habit that allows you to be like consistently engaged with something. But the only difference I see is the fact that you're in control. So it takes me back to a Buddhist monk kind of like saying, and I forgot who. I think it was probably the Dalai Lama. I saw it like naturally as a quote online somewhere, and the Dalai Lama said that if love is making you feel, if something is making your heart beat and making you feel all kinds of like making your blood boil, making you all tingly and excited and all that stuff, that's anxiety. That's not love. And basically, the same kind of feelings of the thing that makes you feel all this excitement when it's there, when they're not there, what you're getting is the other side of the deal because like your body will always balance. And so when it's there, you're like high up and you're like excited. When it's not there, you're down. It's like that's not fucking love. That kind of for me looks like an addiction of some sort. And that's I think how people view certain relationships because saviors. And when I say relationships, I don't really mean relationships with people. I mean just in general, relationships with stuff, with everything. Addictions to technology, addictions to like writing, addictions to even family, man, could become like an addictive thing where you kind of like can't do anything without certain approvals, certain interferences. Like you kind of like live for that drama. Drama is very addictive. Dostoevsky talks about it because a lot because for him, it's funny because his story is like right before he was about to die, he saw the world change, and at that moment, like he receives a pardon. So then he goes out of the camps and is supposed to live a normal life where he just like starts writing all that like profound shit and expressing how humans and their nature are very much like super just they complicate things on purpose because they can't handle how simple and beautiful things are. And Confucius also says talks about this. It's like basically uh, if life is simple, we choose to make it complicated. It's the simplest form. It's the way Confucius describes it. But anyway, so the monk talks about anxiety in the form of like something that's riling up your شو اسمه, your blood levels. It's getting you all excited and tingly and making you feel you want to do stuff, and that for them is like anxiety slash like an addictive side of whatever you're feeling. Whilst if you actually love something, then seeing it makes you feel calm. Seeing it makes you, having it around makes you feel like less in a state of like tension and more in a state of relaxation. It kind of like removes all your limitations and like deconstructs the shit, the shell that you have on you, and allows you to kind of like dissipate and like weave yourself out of it. Because our growth is not necessarily something very comfortable. But if you're growing in a harsh environment, you're probably going to experience a whole lot of pain that comes from growth. But if you're going in a smooth environment, you're probably going to experience a whole lot of flow when it comes to growth. Because, like in like clockwork, if you put a tree and like, okay, so I know I've been around trees a lot over the past like 15, 20 years. And it's not like, yeah, I just like, anytime there's a tree, I look at it. I'd rather look at that and look at people, even though I'm very much interested in how people are. But like, I think nature is literally, nature explains to us everything that we need to know about ourselves. The only difference is nature's growth is very much a physical growth. But us human beings, we've evolved to a point where our growth is very much like conscious growth, an intellectual, a conceptual. Conceptual, I like that word, conceptual, because I think humans in general have evolved through the concepts that they built. From the first concept that was built on, hey man, instead of sitting and eating on the ground, let's eat on that rock. And thus the first table was born. I'm assuming that's how it is, man. Imagine how awkward it is. The first hug is like, shh, 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 I'll give you a hug. But so when to actually look at things that are are a part of our lives and kind of like say, hey, like I'm excited to do this, but like, oof, am I excited because I love it? Am I excited because it shows me love? Or are you excited because like it calms you down? The cat calms me down. I give it anxiety. Look at her face. So the cat calms me down. I give it anxiety. So for me, she is love, but for her, that's not the case. And I miss her when I leave the house. Maybe I can use her as an example. I miss hanging out with them when I leave the house. But as long as they're taken care of and they're doing their thing, I can actually spend the whole day sitting here chilling and allow them to kind of do their thing, or like leave the house as long as they have everything set up for them without me feeling anxious about them not being around me. So I think towards them, maybe it's more love. And towards what are the things, man, we could look. I don't know, like I have been trying to eliminate needs from my life. Now I've been trying to focus on the things that I see myself like needing to do or doing without me actually being involved in. Like there are a lot of things that you find yourself kind of like repeating every day or repeating every week or every month. And I've been trying to pinpoint them for the longest time in order for me to kind of like find a way to eliminate in order for me to be able to understand what exists already and I can build on top of. So I'm not sure. Love versus addiction. I really consider like most of the times we have to question whether whatever it is we're doing out of love, or whether we're doing because of a certain reliance. Reliance, addiction as well is a reliance, is a need, is a void needing to be fulfilled, right? Like it's an emptiness that we can't handle on our own, so we bring something to replace it. And then I think from there we get to actually like question whether how we're actually going through, or how we're actually interacting with whatever we're interacting with, is actually being done from an addictive side, or is it being done from a love side? I think that could be it, man. It's just completely like, am I okay not doing this? And am I okay changing what I'm doing in order for me to get better results? Maybe. Maybe love is just like another form of addiction, and we choose to kind of give different words because we don't want to associate the negative to it, or it's just a selfish need for us to kind of not want to let go. Because if you love something, you don't hold it, but that's the first thing that you kind of want to do when you realize that you actually care. Just like me and the cat. See it behind us. Stop, Sanfura. Bye. All right, guys, later.